Well, here we are again looking at the next instalment of the story of Mary Jones and her Bible. You know, after 6 years against all the odds, Mary had finally raised enough money, 17 shillings, to afford her own Welsh Bible. She couldn't believe it. All her hard work had paid off. The only problem was Bibles were very scarce, and you simply were not able to just buy one from a shop. We're in the year 1800. Now, when it became known that Mary was actually looking for a Bible, Mr. Evans, her school teacher, came to her one day with great news. A man called Thomas Charles, a reverend from Bala, would possibly be able to help. Mr. Charles was an influential preacher and a pioneer of Sunday schools during a period of spiritual revival in the 1790s. But it's 25 miles away, said Mary's mother. However, nothing would deter Mary. She had worked and saved so hard. It must have been a bit of a worrying time for Mary's mother. Her 15-year-old daughter would have set off on the journey all by herself. There was no way they could keep in contact. No mobile phones, no texting, nothing that you could keep in contact with. And Mary would have to be away at least one night, one overnight stay. She could easily have been lost on such a long trip, but Mary reminded her mother that she trusted in the Lord Jesus and that he would be with her. Her mother prepared bread and cheese and tied it up in a bundle. The next morning Mary rose at dawn, washed, dressed, combed her thick glossy hair, and after kneeling to pray, the mother and daughter hugged each other, and Mary set off alone with all her savings. It was the biggest challenge of her life. Her heart was beating fast at the thought of such an adventure. Mary set off barefoot as she didn't want to ruin her shoes, which would wear out on such a long trip. She had shoes, but she carried them with her. The journey would be long and difficult. She would have to scramble over boulders, cross streams, climb steep hills, trek through the Welsh countryside, and all the way she would quote verses from the Bible, which helped her. She met many people on the journey. I told you in my first recording I have read through this book, which is a very interesting record of the people that she met on her journey. Very interesting people. And she would sit and talk with them. And she would ask them about the countryside, and one man gave her milk and another person told her to sit down and rest for a little while because they could see this girl was tired from her travelling. The journey seemed to be endless. She did stop from time to time and rest her aching feet and sometimes wash them in a stream. She kept going despite her aching limbs and growing weariness. Mary uttered encouragement to herself. She would say, "Come on now, not much further. Let's just keep going." She kept reminding herself of the reason for her trip. Years of saving, years of working, reading Mr. Evans' Bible, praying that God would give her the opportunity to have a Bible. She knew that every step was taking her closer and closer to her precious Bible. Mile after mile passed. Every mile seemed to be longer than the one before. Mary followed the directions Mr. Evan had given. Bala must be getting near. We'll need to discover her entry to Bala and see what happens. Does she find the house? Can she get a Bible? Join me next time to find out.